Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Father's Movies. I'm Vito.
I'm Mike.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Jesse, and we are the Dad Fathers, and we're crowing at you with some more Lucky Jack energy.
Yay! Lucky
Crow!
Jack Aubrey.
Crow.
We're just crowing. We're not coming at you this time because we're Russell Crowing tonight for weeks. Russell Crowe.
For weeks. And actually, for the final time for this our mini-series of Chronological Crowe, we have been tracing the Russell Crowe actor character through the ages, and now we've arrived at the Napoleonic Wars in the early 1800s, because we're doing Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, the 2003 film from Peter Weir. I think we all have some pretty deep nostalgia with this one, but Mike, I remember in conversations about even starting this show, this was one that you were like, yeah, we got to do Master and Commander. Yeah.
You know, it was a real, really big movie for me. Yeah.
I can't wait to get into that.
Yeah.
Are you going to unburden some stuff that we haven't?
There's definitely things that I'm not going to say about it.
Oh.
That I've told you about.
Oh. Well, now I have to try and remember what those are so I can bring them up.
And
Wait, you don't remember? That's probably good.
But we're doing this movie, as we said, because we're doing the Chronological Crowe series, and this is where we are going to leave Mr. Russell Crowe for a little while. Stuck here in the early 1800s. And someday we'll revisit and we'll pick up again. I don't know what comes after this. I don't want to spoil
Robin
it.
Hood?
I'm curious. Yeah.
No, it's because Robin Hood, you guys are doing that next week, but it's going to come before this episode.
You're right, yeah.
Because chronological. Robin Hood was earlier than...
Oh, yeah.
It's quite a big time jump.
Yeah. Well, it seems like each time he's reincarnating, you know? We've got Russell Crowe reincarnating, and every time it's earlier or sooner and sooner after the
We
last
could have called this like Russell Through the Ages.
Russell reincarnated.
Oh, that would have been
Russell reincarnated.
So it seems like, he in Noah, he got pretty good at sailing a boat and wasn't so great at the family life thing. He really struggled with that. In Gladiator, he finally got the family life thing down. And
but not a boat in sight,
But he was learning how to lead people.
Right.
You know, in Robin Hood, he's got his band of merry men, obviously.
Right.
And now here, he's combining it all together. Everything he's learned throughout thousands of years to, command this one ship. It's pretty epic.
Except for the family thing. He's kind of, let that...
He got tired of that.
Yeah, he's decided that, you know what, it's better to hang with the bros.
Because they all got killed in Gladiators, so he's, sad.
And he tried to kill them in Noah, so
that's
we got
right.
this.
Yeah, he's got some really weird family dynamics going on.
Is this like midlife crisis, Russell Crowe? He's left his family to go with the bros and sail the seas.
Hang with his doctor buddy and play music and get drunk. That sounds like a midlife crisis.
This is Russell Crowe's idea of a good time.
Yeah,
the best time he can have.
Everybody's idea of a good time, to be honest.
I get really motion sick. This would be terrible for me.
I disagree wholeheartedly. We can get to that later. This is not a good time.
Okay.
But it's because we're talking about Master and Commander from 2003, directed by Peter Weir.
Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World.
The close side of the globe. Yes.
Not to be confused with any of the other Master and Commander movies.
Yeah. Savage
Gotta
burn.
be careful.
Savage burn. So directed by Peter Weir. We've talked about him before, actually, in Jesse's first birthday episode. Listen back to that. Jesse, which movie was that?
That was for Gallipoli. With, I think that was Mel Gibson was in that. Who else was in that?
I don't think anyone else.
Yeah, he was the only big one. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a fun conversation.
Yeah, there was another guy. I can't remember what that guy's name is. I feel like he's been in other things, maybe just in Australia. But anyway, yeah, Mel Gibson's Gallipoli, that World War I Australian epic, I guess.
About running?
Yeah, a lot of running, a lot of going through desert.
Yeah, very sad.
And a lot of springs, steel springs.
It really, and even remembering Gallipoli, super bums me out.
I can't really watch that one a whole lot because it's such a bummer. But, yeah. Anyway, so here we are with Master Commander, very different movie.
Yeah, he's also done the Dead Poet Society, which we will definitely do, along with Witness, which when we do our Harrison Ford series, we're gonna do Witness. Witness.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And then we also have here the way back, the other, is that World War II about the exiled convicts? Colin Farrell's in that one. A lot of people are in that one. Written by John Cawley, Peter Weir, Patrick O'Brien.
Patrick O'Brien,
based on his novel, right?
He's the writer of the novels.
Was he dead at the time that this came out?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think they were still coming out at the time.
Okay.
Let's double check this before.
All right, so we've put in a quick call to some secretaries. There's a lot of typing. Those typewriters, they are a clanging. I don't know why we're using typewriters to search in the internet. I will look into that.
He died in January 2nd, 2000.
So
very recently passed. What a shame.
Yeah.
That was like 3 years before this came out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so his novels, I think they came out in like the late 60s all the way up till 2000. He never finished I think it's the 20th one, the final one. There are scraps of it left that have been released as a full novel. But apparently it doesn't really hold together very well. It's only parts of a story that kind of peters out. But that was supposed to be the final book.
Well, thank you for describing George R.R. Martin's final Game of Thrones book. But what about Patrick O'Brien's?
I recently read the first one. I got it for my wife. Just found it for Christmas. Like, here you go. You should probably read this. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. And then I ended up loving it. It's so great. It's called This is by the
Game
way,
of Thrones, right?
Oh yes, of course it's Game of Thrones. No. Now, by the way, the series is not called the Master and Commander series. It's called the Aubrey Maturin series for Jack Aubrey and Stephen Maturin, the surgeon. It's about primarily like their friendship. In the first book, it opens up with them like first meeting and the surgeon just hating him because he's off tune when they're at a concert together. And Aubrey's just like a real buffoon. Anyway, it's a good time, and it goes really heavy into sailing and what it's like to live on these ships.
This what you just described as like a 20-book bromance? Is that what this is?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. That's incredible.
There's lots of swashbuckling. There's lots of I don't know,
daring do.
Yeah, lots of daring do.
Very good.
Royal Navy. What?
Are these like adult historical novels, or are these like can kids read them? Like,
they're adult.
They are. I read them when I was 13, and they were not for 13-year-olds.
Yeah, in the first book, Jack Aubrey, he sleeps with somebody else's wife, and then he gets crabs.
I never knew what was going on with that.
That's been a while.
It's supposed to be really funny. But yeah, he's kind of a buffoon, and he's sleeping with I think it's the admiral's wife, and like he's trying to crazy things like that are happening. I'm not sure if that's really for 13-year-olds, but yeah, it's also got I think it's got a fair bit of language in there, unlike this movie. Like just about every word. It's sailors, right? They swear a lot. So yeah,
they swear like sailors.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah. Where's my Netflix show based on the Jack and Paul Bettany? I forgot, what was his name? What's the surgeon's name?
Well, Stephen Maturin.
Okay, the Aubrey Maturin. I want the Netflix Aubrey Maturin.
So while I was like looking up stuff about this movie, I found in 2021 they were talking about rebooting the old series.
I do remember this. Yes.
So it was made and like given like a specific name, like Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World,
right?
Because they were like going to make a whole series.
It's going to be a franchise.
It was going to be a franchise, but then it didn't really pan out.
Because you know what else happened in 2003?
What else, Vito?
There was another sailing movie involving another Captain Jack who was very lucky, and it also had a band of ragtag misfits.
Who made that one?
that was Gore Verbinski and Disney.
Disney.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. I think opened before this movie,
but
and took the wind out of its sails.
You know what's funny? Miramax does this one though, doesn't it? And that's also Disney.
It's a brand of Disney. They were, I think, acquired, but Miramax was always run by the Weinsteins, which is why this movie had such a big Oscar push.
Well, yeah, and I was reading too that this was like a big, like, it was a bunch of big houses working together. like a rather than just one place. So like 20th Century Fox was involved.
Yeah.
And Universal too.
Universal, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the first time they had done that.
Probably a lot of rights issues is
Yeah.
probably why that would be.
I mean, ultimately, it didn't make as much money as it needed to. Like, if it had made money, we'd see 10 more Master and Commander movies.
So
But also-
I do know it made $211 million, which I guess with
Seems
the
like
type
a
of
lot.
budget that this movie required is just not enough for those studios to keep pumping out these movies.
I
The
think
budget was $150 million.
Yeah.
Whereas Pirates of the Caribbean, hold on, I have also sent through the change order to the secretaries to look up the budget for Pirates of the Caribbean. I am stalling really well, actually.
Good job.
Really good job. Thank you so much. And now I've run out of it because here it is. Okay, the budget for Pirates of the Caribbean was $140 million, and it made worldwide $654 million.
Jeez.
A lot more.
But then again, like, look, when you look at Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World, is this really a movie that's going to make $650 million?
No, not even close.
I mean, if I were a betting person and I knew what I knew now back then, I would have bet against it.
Well put, Mike.
Where's your YouTube channel on investing through the ages?
If I had a time machine.
Enron, I'd short Enron hard. But going back to our movie, so this is starring, of course, Russell Crowe. We've been talking about him a lot. But it also stars Paul Bettany. Unfortunately, probably best known as Vision for the Marvel movies. That makes me sad to say. He's a very good actor. But yes. And of course, we have in here Billy Boyd. Fun fact about Billy Boyd before we go on. I found out that he's like 5 days younger than my mom.
That's wild.
Really?
Yes. So in this movie, which comes out in 2003, he was born in 1968. That was very surprising.
Your mom was
very
born
young.
in 1968. Yeah.
So
Now we know.
I'm surprised that he looks so boyish.
He's
considering that he's like older than I am right now.
Because his last name is Boyd.
Boyd.
Yeah. Like
Billy Boyd.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that this is the definition of a workman-like performance. There's nothing remarkable about this.
So when he plays Pippin in The Lord of the Rings, he's 34?
Yeah.
Oof.
Isn't that crazy? And like Elijah Wood's like 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks 22.
Yeah.
He does look older than them, but he I thought he would be in like his late 20s, latest.
Early 30s.
Shocking revelations are made tonight about Billy Boyd.
Hey, early 30s is not that old, okay?
It's not that old,
It's not.
But also, what a year for him, right? The
Yeah.
Master and Commander and Return of the King, same year. It's crazy.
Yeah. Both of his movies were like trading blows for the Oscars, which is great.
I mean, for nominations, not for wins.
Yeah.
Because that's the amazing Return of the King sweep year.
Yeah.
Actually, Dan, you had something you wanted to bring up about that. Did you want to talk about that here?
Yeah. So recently, because we got into the Oscars episode, I've been looking. Typically, when I look at a movie now on IMDb, usually I just look at like the user reviews, or I'd look at obviously the cast and the director. But lately, I've been more curious about like the awards that it won or didn't win or was snubbed on. And for this movie in particular, I was blown away that it was nominated for 10 awards.
11
awards. And then every single
one of them. It's amazing.
Yeah. Every single one that it lost to Return of the King. Like, that's incredible that like all of the movies or of all the movies that came out that year, one movie can lose to the same movie on 8 or whatever it is, 8 or 9 different awards.
We call that a drubbing.
Yeah.
So it was nominated for picture, director, art direction, cinematography, costume design, film editing, makeup, sound editing, sound mixing, and visual effects. And the only ones that it won is sound editing and cinematography.
Cinematography too.
Oh, cinematography is good.
That's a legit one. I mean, so I remember like Lord of the Rings, like this was kind of like Return of the King was going to win everything that it got nominated for, as long as it was like a movie.
Right.
Everyone knew that, because it was like the Lord of the Rings series had done so much remarkable work over the last 3 years that they had come out, and so everyone knew, right, that like this was going to happen.
Actually, I remember my family like sitting down to watch this Oscars and like having like a chip on our shoulder already. We're like, we love Lord of the Rings, so it clearly cannot win.
Yeah. I think that the entire world was like no one really cares about this Oscar show that much all the time, but like this year we all care.
It's because the last 2 years the films have been snubbed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there was like that feeling like they're saving it.
Yeah.
They're waiting. Like they know the third one's coming. Is it going to stick that landing, right?
Yeah. No, for us it just felt like, oh, they're going to snub it again. It's a popular movie. They're going to give it, to another artsy movie or whatever.
Right. Right. But instead it's tied for most wins with Ben-Hur and Titanic. It's pretty
There was much shouting and rejoicing in our household that night.
I wonder if that'll ever happen again. I really don't know if that'll ever happen again.
I know.
Because we just watched Power of the Dog get nominated for everything. And not like you get nominated for, I think, for like 11 Oscars too.
Yeah.
And it's like, that movie? Like, it's a good movie, but 11 nominations?
Like, there's other stuff,
Guys, it's just a movie about a sad misanthropic cowboy. Like, not even any shooting.
I know. Don't sit down to watch that movie thinking it's a Western. It's not a Western.
It's like an anti-Western. Yeah.
There are 2 levels removed from Western there.
It takes place in the West, except it looks like fucking New Zealand.
I mean, New Zealand is west of some places.
Yeah, this is correct. Good job.
But Dan, do you feel like this movie deserved any Academy Awards besides cinematography and what it was, sound editing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I actually, honestly, how much I love the Lord of the Rings, I'm kind of happy that they were throwing these, these accolades to kind of the whole trilogy. It makes sense. Like I don't think that there's anything that I would take away from Return of the King. It amazed me that this movie that I loved as a teenager was also loved greatly by the Academy, obviously, like being nominated for that many. And it almost was just like bad timing that it didn't win a ton. I feel like if it was a different year, it would have won 5 or 6 easy.
Yeah.
If you just look at this list of nominations, right? Like, I think in any other year, it could be a strong contender for Best Picture. I think in any other year, I think that Peter Weir would actually be a lock for director. This is fantastically directed.
Yeah.
And he's working with it's really like technically difficult kind of shoot. You got all these ships. You got 2 ships engaged in battle. You're switching back and forth between land and sea so much. The art direction is gorgeous. The cinematography, the costume design is immaculate. Like, everything about this movie is made very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that every single time you come to one that it lost to Lord of the Rings, you're like, well, yeah, but I mean, Lord of the Rings, like Return of the King is technically more impressive on every level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it did come out the same year as like some of these, though. I wonder, like, if Return of the King hadn't been here, like it would have been trading some blows with Pirates of the Caribbean for those like technical achievements. I don't think that
it loses every Oscar to Pirates of the Caribbean.
If that had happened, I'd be very bitter. Yeah.
But what's really funny about this is that none of these are for acting, right? This is all just below the line kind of stuff, and then with a picture to crown it. Whereas the Pirates of the Caribbean has the supporting actor for Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah,
because he wins.
Yeah, that's right. Because he was supporting. Yeah, back in the good old days.
But I feel like even with visual effects, it might have gone to Pirates of the Caribbean for visual effects in 2003.
Yeah, probably would have. Like the visual
skeletons were super cool back then.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And this like Master and Commander used a lot of practical, like real shoots of real ships. And, like a real storm, and that's why it holds up. I thought it held up completely this last.
I don't think it's aged like a second. I don't. It feels timeless.
It does.
I actually, so watching it this time around, I actually started noticing it was a 20-year-old movie only when they're on land. Like when they're on the island, then the shots feel more like, oh, this is early 2000s, right? But when you're on the ship, like, there's no other way to do that. There's no other way to, where else do you put the camera and how else do you like have a real ship and film it? It just felt real, not like it aged at all.
It's funny you say that about the land, because the thing that I was reminded most of was Gallipoli. The way that he's shooting the Galapagos Islands scenes really reminded me of that he has a really good sense of scope and scale. And so I loved that when he's on land and we're shooting Paul Bettany and them kind of walking around gathering specimens. I liked that it was so far back, you could see the breadth of the landscape.
Oh yeah, it's still good. But the second they get on, it's like somebody's cooking a cactus or whatever. And for whatever reason, maybe it's just because the film, maybe it's like the film changed or something. It felt like the actual like footage was different. And it looked like it had aged to me.
Maybe they used a different camera. I'm not sure.
I noticed a few times with that too, where it looked like it kind of looked sort of 90s-ish.
Like there was a digital film
reason.
jump or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but like the lighting or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you notice they used the same insert shot of the iguana going in the water 3 times?
I did notice that. It was like an old nature film.
I expected like David Attenborough to be telling me about the iguana.
Oh, also
about
classic,
how I'm killing it.
I'm noticing this as like a classic 90s or 2000s thing, but if you have like a night film set, you have really bright light shining down so you can see everything on screen.
Yes, that's because they would use filters. Either it's in a tank and you're trying to replicate the moon, right? Or you would shoot in the daytime and use a nighttime filter. And we've gotten away from that unless remember in The Northman, the scene in the forest at night? It's very clearly just like a filter laid over the camera. And that's an intentional choice to make it look weird. And this time they're like, I don't know. I don't want to shoot at night. Just I don't know.
Well, also, I feel like with better quality cameras, you can actually see more on screen maybe than they were able to show.
Probably.
Anyway.
Just finishing out our cast list here, we have James Darcy, who is in Cloud Atlas and Dunkirk. I do remember him in Dunkirk.
He's also in Marvel's Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But no one cares about that.
I wasted some time watching that for a while. Like every once in a while, I'd be like, you know what I need to do today? I need to waste time. I'll just turn it on and be like, I don't know why this matters.
But now there's a whole bunch of Disney Plus shows that look better. You can do that with. They don't matter either.
Yeah, but they don't matter more.
And then you have down here Max Pierkis as the kid.
He's the kid who loses his arm.
Oh yes,
I thought he was great.
He's great. He's a very interesting looking kid.
Yeah,
like he's got a face. I don't know if I don't recognize that face, even though I've seen these other movies he's been in.
Yeah, no, I know.
Wait,
I don't.
What other movies has he been in?
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I'm assuming the American version.
Yes, yeah.
And then The Father.
Yeah, I don't remember him at all in The Father, which we just talked about last year with which one?
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins won
Best Actor for.
Boy, that was, I still say a deserving win, but wow, that was an awkward moment.
And a rough movie, but I don't remember him.
Yeah. Well, so that I think wraps up some of our technical conversation. Did anyone have any other thing they wanted to shout out?
I did want to say, I was looking through the cast list. I don't really recognize most of the people on there. There are people in there who I did recognize, but like it was a lot of British actors from like the BBC, like a lot of people who were doing this kind of work for a long time, which is cool. It's cool that they all got to get together in this big movie that, only made $100 million.
Go get on the ship. Yeah. With the crazy Australians.
With the crazy Australians. Exactly.
Yeah. I was going to shout, Paul Bettany was a huge actor for me because when I was in high school, we loved this movie and we loved A Knight's Tale. And he's so phenomenal in that.
He's the drunk, isn't he?
Yeah. He's like the drunk that keeps getting naked and keeps losing his clothes from betting. And but then he becomes the bard or whatever you call them, the person that like shouts out the greatness of the knight as he's going up to fight or to joust.
When I first met whatever his name is, he was standing on top of a mountain, weeping for the Saracen blood spilled by his sword.
He plays Chaucer.
Yeah, it's Chaucer.
That's right. Yeah, which I never got in high school until
you read Chaucer.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so moving into nostalgia, our first impressions of this movie. Danathan, what did you think about this movie when you first saw it?
Yeah, I saw it, like I said, when I was a young teenager, and it was just a huge movie for all of my friends. We all loved it. We all, it was one of those movies that my parents were fine with us watching kind of anytime we wanted to, because they knew it didn't have any, sex or nudity in it, and it didn't have, whatever else. And that was typically what my parents kind of based, whether we could watch a movie or not. And so it was just one of those movies that we would watch all the time, anytime we could. And we loved the action in it. I remember just being blown away by the set pieces, like the battle set pieces. And I loved Russell Crowe, like the movies that we've covered already. Gladiator was a huge one. And Russell Crowe just became this, if he's in a movie, I'm going to love it. If he was just like a litmus test for whether I was going to like the movie or not. And so this movie solidified that. And I always loved nautical books and nautical pictures and everything to do with ships. I read the Narnia books as a kid, and so I always loved the Voyage of the Dawn Treader and all the stories of those. And there were a bunch of different books that I had read as a kid that all had to do with sea life and living on a boat. And to see a movie like this that kind of shows the greatness and the darkness of that lifestyle, how gruesome it can be and how wonderful it can be, and everything in between. It just felt very like a real depiction for me, and I thought this is what movies should be. They should be showing us real life. And that, now as an older adult, I kind of see a bit more of the rose-colored glasses maybe that this movie is wearing. Not to take anything away from it, but just it's still a Hollywood movie. It's still, but anyways, yeah, that was just kind of how I saw it in high school. This is real cinema. This is a real movie, an adult movie with real people and blood, and there's brains, and I just loved everything about it.
Nice. Yeah, it's I remember the violence very well, actually. But Mike, Dan brought this movie into this series. This is kind of Dan's making the series, but like we said, you've had your eye on this one for a long time. So tell us.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this was another one of those movies that just cracked open movies for me. It made me love film. I don't know. I it was the same as you, man. I read a bunch of books about midshipmen and people who are on boats and stuff like that, and I thought that they were amazing. I always wanted to go to sea. I have never gone to sea. But I don't know how to tie knots either. I'm pretty sure you got to do the knots before you go to sea, and I was really bad at that in Boy Scouts. So, But so I saw this with I guess I saw it in theaters. I know I saw it the year it came out. And it was with my some really close friends of mine, and the dad was like, okay, we're gonna watch this movie. This is gonna be a good movie for you guys to watch. And we're like, oh no way. This is this heavy sort of heavy hitting grown up movie about, Russell Crowe goes and to the far side of the world. We didn't know anything about it at the time, and it was so cool. Like you said, seeing these ships sailing, it was real ships sailing around the world. They were actually, learning. They spent a lot of time learning how people would actually navigate these boats and stuff. That was really cool. And it was. It was the spectacle of it was amazing. Totally impressive. Something that I had only ever dreamed of, and it changed the way I could imagine things. Because I could see it, and that was amazing. But then, sort of at the core of it is this friendship between Jack and Steven, that that was really cool to see for me. I was not like over the years that was something that my sort of like developed more my understanding of it, of course. But as a kid, like all I wanted to do, I was like, I know who I want to be like when I want to grow up, and I want to be like Jack Aubrey. Like that's the guy. That's the person I want to be when I grow up. And there's a little bit less of that now, of course, but it was really cool to see someone portrayed as being a master of men, but a friend as well. Someone who is respected by the people that he leads, and makes those hard decisions. Like chopping off the mast or whatever.
Yeah, the water anchor.
Yeah, the water anchor. I don't know. It was just amazing. An amazing movie. It's one of those movies that's like a core memory, and so all I can do is like gush about it. Like I just love it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what more I can say. It changed my life.
Did it change your life, Jesse?
Yeah, to an extent. This was a big deal for my family too. I think like the whole family went and saw this movie. This was like, this was after the Gladiator rage that we'd all seen. I can't remember if I'd seen it at that point. Go back and listen to the other episode to figure out what I said about that.
Let us know.
Yeah, because I don't remember even. But I remember us all watching this movie, and this is my first experience with what I considered at the time to be a very slow movie.
Yeah.
And I still think it's kind of slow, but there's still lots of things like happening all the time. But I thought this was the slowest movie I had ever seen.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. Drive My Car exists.
Still the best movie from 2021.
But yeah, but I ended up really liking it. But when I saw this, I was 11, and I didn't understand a lot of the decisions being made. What was really like happening most of the time? Like I didn't understand ships, or nautical terms, or even that ships really had names for whatever reason. That was not a concept I understood. So like, what is the Acheron? I think I missed that
name.
Like, I think I just saw the ship come out and like, all right, clearly we have to go over. We have to go and get those guys, right? That part struck through, but like, I didn't really understand what's going on. But I was really struck by like a ship, and the difference between the sailors and then all the officers on the ship. Like, to hear people in a room and they're the ones making all the important decisions about what's going to happen, the people with the grand strategy. And you have the sailors and they're up on the mast tying things, they're doing their sailor things that are like really hard physically, and they're not going to have the capacity to do what the officers are doing. The officers definitely can't do what the sailors are doing. And to like foresee that dichotomy, like, so that was really striking at the time. I guess I hadn't thought about work and work environments like that and systems like that. And then like also seeing little kids who were seemingly also officers. And that was crazy to me because like, hey, I'm that age. I can go kill people with a gun, clearly. I don't know. I still don't know what to take away from that other than like, that is insane.
Super metal, man.
Super crazy. But yeah, I fell in love with basically everything that Mike was saying. A guy who's making really hard decisions, who's also a friend, because all that comes across even to an 11-year-old really strikingly. And then of course, like dealing with depression and committing suicide. Like the suicide I had to think about for a long time. Like, why on earth did this guy just do this? Like I guess he was convinced of this. Like it took me years to process like, oh, this guy committed suicide because he thinks he's actually Jonah. He was convinced by all of his peers that he was. And that was something that always really struck with me. But yeah. Stuck with me throughout the years. We have the DVD. We watched it throughout the years and haven't seen it for years until this past time when I think I probably liked it way more than when I was a kid. So yeah, I love this. and I also recently read the first book, like I said, a few months ago. So watching it this time around was like a brand new experience for me. Like, yeah, it just had more of a background of these people and what they're doing and how their life works. And yeah, if coming in with that knowledge, it almost felt like a sequel to what I had been reading before, like jumping out on the screen and continuing the story. It was great.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's really cool about it is like it's really truthful to the books or whatever. Like the relationship that it shows between them and like I remember.
Yeah. I will say that like my idea of the book Jack Aubrey is again, I've only read the first one and there are 18 others I have not read. But in the first one, he's kind of bumbling, right? He makes he makes some really serious blunders at parties with people. He gets like kicked out of people's parties because he gets wasted and starts like rambling on to people. And also when it comes to the men, it's pretty clear, like when he's on the ship, sometimes he doesn't know what he's doing and he'll just say something anyway. Like that is not the Russell Crowe Jack Aubrey that I'm seeing in this movie. This is a guy that he might second guess himself like later in private, but even then he's not really going to second guess himself.
No, because it's so like this is way later on because like he started off as like a midshipman on the Surprise, right? And like I'm trying to remember the books, but I know at some point in the series, like the Surprise finally like he has to say goodbye to it. But that's been the ship that he sailed, and it's like the fastest ship or whatever, and he loves it. And there's more of his blood in it than in himself.
Yeah, in the first book, he becomes captain of the Sophie.
Oh, okay.
And that's a much smaller ship, and it's the first time he's been captain.
Maybe they made up the name.
So this is the 10th. This is the 10th book.
It's like a combination.
Well, this one's called The Far Side of the World.
Yeah, but it is a combination.
Yeah, there are parts in here taken directly out of the first book, like when they light the lanterns to fool the ship behind them.
Yeah, that was so cool.
I think even when they become whalers, I'm pretty sure that's straight out of the first book. He has a bunch of antics like that to get out of like situations that are impossible for his tiny little ship.
Yeah, I heard this was 2 books, essentially, that the battle at the end is from one of the books, and that the entire chasing after the Phantom ship is from another book. And that they kind of just spliced them together to get the best of both worlds.
And it does feel weird. Like it does not feel, at times it does not feel cohesive. It feels like I'm watching several different movies happen.
Yeah. But sorry, anyway, that was my nostalgia just to wrap that up. But Vito, what is your nostalgia with this one?
Pretty similar to you guys. I'm the youngest in this group. I was 10 when this came out, and I had seen Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of Black Pearl in theaters, and I had been terrified, and I loved it. And I saw this one too, and I also thought that it was super boring, but I also was really bothered by a lot of stuff in it, because it had, like, the beginning of Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of Black Pearl, it also opens in the fog and with mysterious goings-on, right? It's equally creepy, but of course it moves on pretty quickly. Yeah. But it moves on, right? That's like a 6-minute scene. And this one, like, you sit in it for quite a while. And I guess what really bothered me was the suicide, which, I mean, I was 10. I think I'd probably heard the word, but I did not know the concept. And so I was baffled and disturbed by the seaman grabbing his cannonball and jumping overboard.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
shocking.
See that awful shot from the top of his face retreating into the deep. And then also the brain surgery scene, which is funny now, but was not funny then. Because I also did not, this entire movie, I remember being a kid and just being like, what is going on? Like, I do not understand.
This is insanity.
Every single moment of this movie, I don't know why it's leading into the next
These
moment.
people are insane. I remember thinking that.
Well, I also just feeling it like adrift. Like, I didn't even know what we're out here doing.
Yeah.
Like, and then before, the Jonah jumps overboard, we see everything's becalmed. And now that I'm an adult, I know that word and I know what that means. But then I was like, it looks really hot. Like, why aren't they moving? And everyone's talking about how hot it is. Like, why don't you just move?
Why don't you go swimming? Like, there's a big old ocean.
Yeah. Turn the motor on.
But then also in the latter half of the movie, after I've been both disturbed and confused, then I remember just being super bored and really wanting to leave. Then the final battle happens, And then it was over, and I was like, wow, I hated that. I hated every moment of that. And I held a grudge against this movie for 18 years.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I didn't know this.
This is the second time I've seen this movie.
How do you feel now?
I really like this movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's
I think
beautiful.
it's great. I know what's happening now.
Yeah, right. The confusion when you're little, like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Why are we on the Galapagos Island? What is that?
Yeah.
Why are they going around like South America? Like, where is the other ship going? How do they know where to find it? It's so bizarre.
And I'm of the personality where when I get confused, I get angry and then I just walk away. Like, I am not a curious, confused person. There's some people, I think maybe even on this pod, who when they get confused, it makes them dig deeper. And I'll just get pissed and leave. Like, that is how I'm wired. That's what I do. And then I wait for someone else to like come and explain it to me. Or I make someone else look at it, like, figure that out and then explain it to me because I'm mad. I'm mad because I couldn't get it right away. And that was how I was with this movie for forever. And I'm glad that we're doing it now because it made me rewatch it. I own it for some reason. I don't know why I did. I bought it and I never watched it.
Well,
I think it was like $4.
This piece of shit belongs in my collection.
I think I always thought like I'm misjudging this thing.
Yeah,
like it's probably really good. And I'm just happy that turned out to be correct. But I was very scarred by this movie and haunted by images that to this day like still bother me.
Yeah, and like a boy gets his arm cut off like without any fanfare. That's
cool.
pretty wild. Yeah.
The self-surgery scene, which made me almost ill.
Yeah.
I love gnarly surgery scenes in movies. Like, I really dig it. This one was hard to get through.
It really was.
And like, you don't even see much.
Yeah.
But you know what's happening, and just looking at Jack's reaction to everything that's happening to his friend, I think that's what really clinches it.
I think him getting pale and kind of sweaty. You're like, yeah, that's how I feel right now, dude. Yeah.
I love when the guy's like turning away with the mirror, and he's like,
no.
I gotta see that. Yeah,
my hand is inside myself. I need to see what's going on.
Give me that air.
I love how angry that character is throughout the whole movie. Like, if I was in his position, I'd probably be just like that. He's just this angry guy constantly bringing in like new food and like, whatever. He's like
the discount Eric Idle. The discount Eric Idle. That's what he is. He just looks like Eric Idle the entire time. He is. He's not the He's not the midshipman. Is he the surgeon? He's the boat. Is he the boatswain?
I have no idea.
He's a preserved Killick.
Yeah, that's right. Captain Steward.
Yeah.
The captain's steward. That's right.
Captain Steward. Okay, yeah. So he really is just steward. Yeah.
Go make the pudding in the shape of the Galapagos Islands on the moving ship. All right.
I would be very pissed off all the time at this asshole who's ordering me around.
What? I think that's one thing that we didn't talk about in the cast and crew section, but there's a lot of actors here, and they get a lot of attention, right? There's a surprisingly large like side cast going on, a bunch of side characters happening here, and you get to really know them. Like the guy, he ends up dead at the end, but he gets what is it? Is whipped? Is whipped the correct term?
Flogged.
He gets flogged. He gets flogged. Right, that guy, and you just see his face throughout, and he's like, you always kind of know he's a little bit rebellious, but you kind of like him. At least that's my reaction to him. And then
it's his best friend who. So he's the guy. Remember, he makes the model of the ship because the other guy's cousin's sister or whatever got married, and he went to the wedding in America and saw the ship being built, and so like the guy drowns.
Yeah.
Because his best friend.
His best friend drowns because like the Hollings or whatever his name is, like he can't get his like shit together to climb up the mast and help him.
Yeah.
And that also explains why he gives him a shove.
Yeah.
And
he hates him.
Yeah.
It's like his fault.
Yeah. Well, and like he's a weak leader. Yeah. Like in general, the movie starts off with him being a weak leader.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, even like his second in command is the one that makes the call.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, you're not going to obviously do anything. Okay.
But like, they all know. They all know.
Like, they're all standing there.
They're all standing there.
And and Captain Jack actually says that about that when he's about to flog him, or he's like debating whether to flog him, and he's talking with Paul Bettany's character about it, like, should I do this or not? And they're arguing, and he even mentions like, I know that he disrespected him because he blames him for for the death of his best friend.
Yeah.
So he's like, he understands that it's not just a punk kid being rebellious against authority, right? It's not just like this kid is actually really wounded by the fact that he lost his best friend. And
the dude was standing next to him and cutting like because I don't know if you guys I didn't realize it until this time, but he was the other guy who was chopping at the. I didn't realize that, man. Like he actually was the reason why his friend died.
When you say
the guy who's the rebellious guy was the
Mr. Lamb, I believe.
Yeah, Mr. Lamb.
I think
so. Russell Crowe gets the axe and he chops at the ropes, and then Mr. Lamb
Mr. Lamb is causing his own friend to die.
Yeah, the rebellious guy takes the axe and has to hack at the rest of it for his best friend.
That's brutal.
I didn't realize that. That just made it so much more impactful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dan. I stepped on a comment that you were making, and it was a good one.
Oh no, I think that's great. I think I was done with my comment. I don't remember what I was going to say, to be honest.
Okay.
Dang it, I'm sorry.
But there's also a few other characters to point out, like the guy who gets shot in the head at the end, who's always who's clearly an officer.
The master. It's John Allen.
Yeah, John Allen. Like he's a compelling officer, and I feel like he's always arguing with Jack Aubrey. Like he adds something here too. And there's a bunch, all the kid lieutenants or whatever. I love their interaction with each other, trying to figure out what it means to take command. And I just love the sweaty nature of this cabin, when everybody knows everybody and everybody else's business. And I like how that leads to like when Jack's talking about whether or not to flog the guy, he's just like, this is a ship. Like there needs to be order, because if in this scenario in this sort of close quarter living situation that they're all in, where everybody knows everybody else's faults, like animosity can arise so easily. And if you don't have order, like emotions can run wild, and you can't have that right now because they're trapped here for months. And I just love the claustrophobia you begin to feel in their cabins and in these discussions, when everybody can listen to what everybody else is saying, even when Jack Aubrey's like talking to the surgeon, like somebody else is eavesdropping, right? Like nothing can be a secret here. Everything gets out, and you try to maintain order somehow anyway. And I love that dynamic. I love that part of this movie so much. At least this time around, that's what I'm really drawn to.
Well, like Captain Jack Aubrey, I'm gonna have to wrest control of this vessel away, and I'm going to have to say, Jesse, when will you show this to your kids? Because I'm guessing you will.
Yeah. Older than when I saw it, I think. Like, if they're like me, then this will be far too slow for them. They won't understand what's going on, and maybe they're a little too young to see the suicide. And this amount of violence that's at the end, the bullet through the head, and then, the brain surgery, the chopping the arm off, even if you don't see those things, that's very, like, you can feel it. Like, this movie does a really good job with that. So yeah, I would say, like, I don't know, mid-teens. If I feel like they're down for a nautical adventure, and they've already seen pirates, and they want something more adult, then I'd say when they're like 15, this movie is something I'm going to turn on. But yeah, definitely going to show it to them.
Yeah, I think I agree with that too. I think like 14. I think I would say is probably the youngest I would want to do. Not like the violence is definitely a concern, but I don't like you're right, Jesse. I was too young when I saw this because I was confused and disturbed. Like it was a terrible combination for anything, right? Like dazed and confused is a nice sensation. Confused and disturbed is terrible. And so I want them to be able to at least have a grasp on what's going on, because I thought I was going to be pretty bored by this. Recently I've been having a really hard time making it through movies. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like the last 3 months I've had a really hard time making it through movies. And this one, for the 2-hour, 20-minute runtime, not a problem. Did not have an issue with it. It was engaging all the way through until we get to the Galapagos bit, but even that's not that long. And so I could make my way through it. Because I was invested in that at that point in the surgeon and his journey. So yeah, I'm going to say 14 at the earliest. and just see where the interest lies. Like if there's interest, if the Napoleonic Wars come up in study, if I don't know, if there's an interest in naval history from somebody, if they like ships, then yeah, okay, we'll do this. I'm not going to really go out of my way for this one, I don't think, because I think this is one that's going to be around for a long time, and I don't feel a pressing need. I don't feel a pressing need to have it come from me. I appreciate it. I like it a good amount, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. How about you, Dan?
I think definitely, just because of how much I love this as a teenager, I definitely think it's going to be a movie that there'll be an evening, like, I don't know exactly what age, maybe 13, 14, but I know that there'll be an evening where I'm flipping through a list of movies and I'm trying to find something for me and the older kids to watch. And I'll see this one and be like, yes, this is the movie. This is the time. This is just a movie that I want them to connect to me, and I want them to kind of grow from in the same way that I grew from this, as like, I felt like this kind of like matured me in a bit. It matured how I watch movies and what do I appreciate in movies. The music is great in it. Like I love the classical music and how they're the ones playing, the characters are the ones playing the music. So you kind of like, I don't know, it's this really cool dynamic with the music and with,
you have like the diegetic music and the non-diegetic, like the ones in scene and then versus the score that's actually playing. Yeah. It's beautifully used.
Yeah. It's incredible. And like that made me think differently about music and movies, as a teenager. There are things that this does that like really, really clever artsy movies will do, but your average blockbuster will never do, because like it's too creative, or too like it takes too much work. And I feel like this movie is an awesome blend of like really creative, amazing work and also being really enjoyable. And the violence definitely will be a reason that I hesitate, but overall I definitely want to show this as young as possible and have it around, like watch it a few times throughout their teenage years. I was going to mention a shout out to a friend of mine who we've been friends since we were young teens, and his dad would watch this movie like every weekend for years.
It's amazing.
This, like, I actually texted him earlier today being like, hey, how many times do you think your dad has seen this? And he said easily over 100 times.
Okay. Okay.
They couldn't estimate, but they're like, yeah, like if you calculate this and this, and they said that he would put it on so loudly that the dishes would rattle in the kitchen upstairs, because they have like a basement that they watch movies in, and the dishes would be rattling, and the mom would yell down like, turn it down, and he'd just turn it up like 2 more clicks. And
Dad's having a moment down here. Dad's going through something.
It's Dad's Saturday night. Like you gotta let Dad just watch this and have his wine. And there's a part of me that hopes that I have, maybe, I don't know if it'll be this movie, but movies like this, like these old, like historic movies. I hope that is something that my kids connect to me. And this is yeah. So anyways, that's all to say that I really hope to show this to my kids and to watch it many times with them.
That's gonna be me watching Heat.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike? Are you gonna be the basement dad?
Definitely gonna show this to my kids. I can't wait. I think that my kids are gonna be into nautical stuff. I mean, like, if they're really not, I feel like there's sort of a correlation that you have to do, or something. Like you have to chart it out. Like, so the more into boats they are, like at a young age, like the sooner they can watch this. But then, like, once they get, like, they have to be super into boats, or like, and then they can get the movie. But then, like, if they get to 14, then they can also see the movie. It's like one or the other. You know what I mean?
You made this really hard on yourself.
Yeah.
You better chart this out.
Like when you have a fundraiser and you get like the thermometer and you got to color in, like, okay, are you going to do that with the boats?
Yeah, pretty much, just like boats versus age. So, if they're super into boats at the age of 7, then we'll watch it. No,
you're going to have a quiz for them beforehand. All right, kids, what's a frigate?
Do you know what it means to be captain of the mizzen top? do you? What does the boatswain do?
Where exactly is the top gallant sail?
Yes.
I don't know what any of those things are.
Boy?
You don't need to see. The thing is, guys, like you don't need to know what these things are. You just have to be there for the ride.
Define what a midshipman is.
He's like in the middle of the ship.
Shut up.
He's not supposed to be 30,
and he's a man.
Yeah, unless he's a midship person.
Yep. Doing good there, buddy?
Anyway, I'm excited to show this to my kids. I think they'll love it, and even if they don't, I'll force them to watch it. It's one of those movies.
It's like when you ground them.
Yeah.
And now you have to watch Master and Commander. They'll be like, oh no!
This is one of those movies where like the proper way to see it is with your father or someone else's father who's really into it. And they like pausing it every 5 minutes, be like, okay, let me explain.
Oh my gosh.
This is the way to watch this movie.
I forgot that adults did that trauma to me.
No, okay, so that's what. So we did go see it in theaters, and then like we watched it again once it came out on DVD, and when we watched it again, that's when the dad was like, "Okay, here we go. I'm gonna teach you things." I enjoyed it.
Just get up and leave.
I enjoyed the crap out of it.
I'm glad you did. Hey everyone, jumping in real quick to tell you about something I'm personally very excited for. It's Sir's Furniture. SIRRS Furniture. Now, if you've been listening to our podcast for a long time, then you know about Sir. We did the crossover with the Before Sunset trilogy. He's been on a couple of our episodes. I've been on a couple of his. He's a dear friend, and he happens to make, besides a fantastic podcast, beautiful custom-made wood cutting boards of whatever flavor of wood you want in whatever kind of design you want. It's beautiful custom work. And with summertime coming up, I know that I'm going to be out barbecuing. I'm going to be out going to birthday parties. I'm going to be going to a couple of weddings. And it's sometimes hard to pick, what to give somebody, what to give a friend of mine. Sir's Furniture is your one-stop shop for cutting boards, charcuterie boards, coasters, anything that you can really think of that is handmade, handcrafted, and designed woodcraft. You've been using a small plastic board for years. You have. Or, take a look in your kitchen at those dried out twigs that you call cutting boards. And go to sirsfurniture.com, SIRRS furniture.com/NYFM and check out the wide selection of beautiful handcrafted wooden cutting boards that are on display there. Now, listen, let me tell you, a little bit ago when Mike welcomed in his third child to the world, Jesse and I banded together and we pitched in on one of the big Bertha, I think it's called the Martha, of the cutting boards. It was big, it had a nice channel around the side, and we put Mike's last name right in the middle, and this board was gorgeous. I was upset that I didn't have Mike's last name so that I couldn't just keep it for myself. It was the single most beautiful cutting board I've ever seen. So that whether you love to cook, barbecue, or just need that perfect gift, Sir has what you need. So for 10% off, use our link, Sir's Furniture. That's SIRRS furniture.com/NYFM. That'll tell him that we sent you. So I guess we're going to move into our next section on our favorite scenes. I'm going to just start with the opening scene because I'm a cheater pumpkin eater. And I think that for Pirates of the Caribbean, Curses of the Black Pearl, I also picked the opening scene.
Pretty sure you did, yeah. Yeah.
Because both these ones were really impactful because they were scary. You're like, there's a phantom ship. There's fog everywhere. You don't know what's happening. You're very confused just as the viewer. Like, this is, I think the Pirates of the Caribbean was the first ship movie I saw. And so this is being only the second ship movie, and this one not being about fun pirates, but about, war. Like, I was old enough to read. I could see when he says the oceans are battlefields. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, this
is much worse.
Sounds disturbing.
Yeah, this is not a happy fun time. And it very quickly is not, but I think the movie does a really great job at immediately starting to set forth characters and scenarios that are going to play out over the rest of the movie. Even though I'm not entirely certain how necessary some of them are. It's definitely like trying to paint a broad picture of the inhabitants of this ship, right? Like, like either like a big family or like a town, kind of. So I appreciated that epic approach to movie making, and I love that everyone's really giving their all. Everyone's acting really hard, and the script is very, very good. I have to mention that the whole movie is scripted very well. I loved the dialogue here. I thought that the movie was very smart. I thought it respected its audience at all times. I never felt talked down to. And it was just really refreshing watching that, because I felt like I was watching like an adult movie for grown-ups. And I was like, there are not that many of these. Like, even on Netflix, we're like, check out the new release. I'm watching. I was like, this shit's dumb.
This is a baby movie for babies.
Yeah, why is it rated R? And then sometimes you're watching a movie and you're like, but you think I'm stupid. Like, you movie think I'm dumb. And now I hate you. And this movie thought I was smart. I mean, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It thought I was smart. It respected me, and I maybe want to respect it back. And I think this opening scene really nailed that. Not only everything I said, but also the atmosphere of that creepy kind of encounter. Yeah, I really liked it. What did you guys think?
Oh yeah, I thought it was great.
That opening, it's really like they start calling it the Phantom ship after this encounter, and it really does feel like a phantom at first. It comes out of the fog, and they're not sure if they've seen it, right? And it's the one guy, Mr. Holding, right? I think he's the one, Lieutenant Holding, that sees it.
Yeah,
and he's not sure of himself, and nobody else can see it either. But still, they have to be prepared. They have to go down to the cannons and get ready for whatever's coming.
Beat the porters.
Yeah. And that's when you see Jack Aubrey getting ready. And then weirdly, and I haven't made it to other books where this has happened, but so I don't understand how this works. But his quarters, there are these partitions, and some sailors have to go take the partitions apart.
Yeah.
Did you notice this? Like, whenever he's going through doors, the doors just part from because people are taking it apart. And it's bizarre to me that this is how your lives operate right now. Like, oh yeah, the captain's getting ready. Better open up the doors. Better open up the walls, rather.
Well, I think they use the whole, so it's like the whole floor. It's like the second story or whatever of the ship down or whatever, and they have to use that whole area for war.
So the officers' quarters can be officers' quarters, for the dinners or whatever.
For most of the time.
Like when war happens, man, bust those partitions down. Also, I like to, because it's so different than Pirates of the Caribbean, because this is the Navy. This has procedures, this has training. These people know what they're doing, versus bloody pirates.
Yeah. This opening scene definitely set the stakes for the movie when he comes down and he says what's the butcher's bill, and he says 9 dead and 24 wounded.
You're like, holy shit!
Yeah, I'm like, that. You guys escaped. That was you got lucky. You're lucky, Jack. And 9 dead, 24 injured is a lucky day.
They're like, oh, phew, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
It amazed me this time around, and it made me realize this is why the men. As a viewer, I was like, you should get out of there. You got to go back to England and recoup and get more guys and get more resources and I was on the side of the I forget his name, the white-haired officer,
Alan.
Yeah, Alan. I was like, he's right. You should not be chasing this ship that is clearly bigger and better than yours.
Yeah.
And so I think that opening scene it set the stage for the rest of the movie, where it's small mouse chasing after the cat, and you don't know how in the world it could pan out. And, it shows the brazenness of the captain, and how he's just, he believes in his duty, and he believes in England and his obeying orders at any cost. Right. That's his only prerogative. And maybe there's a little bit of pride in there, and it, the movie does a good job of showing that, and how he realizes that, with his friend. So this opening scene is excellent. It's an excellent way to start a movie like this.
I also love the fact that I guess it's pretty quick, but Captain Jack slams his head against the floor at one point, and he gets a little bloody brow. It's not much, but in that moment, he's dazed and kind of confused, and you realize that this captain, who's probably going to be larger than life, is still mortal. He can still die. and he realizes that too, and he's going up against a foe who just almost knocked him out and just killed a bunch of his crew. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's always having to choose the lesser of two weevils. That's my favorite scene. And before I depart it, though, I just want to sidebar. Between the two Lucky Jacks that came out this year, who's going to win in a fight?
Oh, between Lucky Jack Aubrey and Lucky Jack Sparrow.
Yes,
is what you're asking.
Yes.
Oh,
between Lucky Jack.
That's a good question. Okay, so what are the stakes here? Are they on ships?
They're obviously on ships. Obviously on ships.
They're obviously on...
no. Is Jack Sparrow
isn't often on ships.
He's on the ships constantly. He's just not. He's not in command of them. Mike,
he's a brig.
Mike, you're getting bogged down. It's obviously on a ship. Go.
I'm playing for time here. Okay.
You're doing a terrible job. All right. So they're on ships. They're in a naval battle.
Okay, I'm gonna say, Jack Aubrey. He creams Jack Sparrow, but Sparrow's gonna weasel his way out. But he's gonna be imprisoned. He's gonna take him back for judgment. He's going to escape. This is
Jack Aubrey loses 2 of 3 battles he's in.
It kind of sounds like Jesse just described the captain of the Phantom.
Yeah, pretty much.
He is Jack Sparrow in a different timeline and different ethnicity.
Yeah.
It's very possible. Yeah,
I kind of felt like exactly what happened.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, this is a scenario. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. Okay, so
what if they're like fighting hand to hand though? Who wins there?
I think Jack Sparrow wins that one pretty easy.
Yeah?
Because he's preternaturally lucky. Whereas Jack Aubrey is just sort of like kind of lucky.
He's mostly just like scary.
Yeah.
Like fighting with Russell Crowe with swords and cutlasses, like that would be terrifying.
He was dual wielding pistols.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you do that back then, because you have to load. It takes forever to load those things, right?
Well, you just got 2 ready. You got 2 ready. You shoot twice, and then you just chuck them.
And you flip them over, and you start whacking people with them. Boom,
yeah,
boom. Like those are some real good weapons there.
So, anyways, I just started bludgeoning.
Exactly.
Okay, so that kind of sounds like I don't know. I feel like Jack Sparrow's got this in the bag.
I mean, come on, we gotta get some more.
There's also 80% chance that Jack Sparrow's drunk. So
no.
But
that's why he would win.
He does better when he's drunk.
When he's sober, he's no good to anyone.
That's true. He's more lucky when he's drunk.
But yeah. Jack Sparrow doesn't really fight people unless they're monsters. He never tries to kill anybody.
No, but he beats them. You know, like he beats Will Turner how many times? He beats he kills plenty of random pirates.
That's true, but they're pirates.
So?
Has he ever fought a gentleman?
What's the distinction?
Well, there's the okay, so the captain of the British ship or whatever his name is.
Jack Davenport,
guy.
That guy sneaks up behind him and hits him in the head, right? No,
yeah. Well, no, but I mean, like he would be the Jack Aubrey,
right?
In the world of Pirates of the Caribbean,
they never fight because Jack just doesn't. He just leaves.
Yeah,
he's just like.
I feel like Jack Aubrey would catch him and hang him, like right away.
Oh no.
Do you think
Jack Sparrow is too lucky?
No, you would just catch him and hang him.
I'm just saying that I think that Jack Sparrow's got this in the bag. Is there any pirating in any of these books?
Well, there's privateers, and privateers are pirates, but they've got like a letter.
Yeah, you can do crimes because the Queen says so.
You can do horrible things to people.
So, but there is privateers in these books.
The French ship is a privateer,
right? But
in this movie,
but I mean, so there's no other pirates.
I don't remember.
Okay,
if there's.
I just wanted to know if there was any like swashbuckling, rum drinking pirates.
Probably. Okay. There's a lot of books.
I want to see.
I was 13.
Jack Aubrey go up against a true pirate.
This is almost.
Well, you can read the books, Vito.
Yeah. I'll just wait till you get.
Then you would have to become a virgin.
I'll just wait till you get there. It's okay.
So there's a really memorable scene from one of the books. I don't remember which one, but I think it was early on where they go to like the West Indies or something, and they encounter this tribe of naked females who have a a god that is like a large man with a huge phallus. They're just like chopping out with their swords all the time. It's really weird.
I can imagine a 13-year-old boy remembering that.
I read
what?
through that. Like, I wasn't. I didn't understand what to eat. I still don't really understand what to make of that.
No.
But, like,
Well, I mean, the metaphor is pretty clear, but
I read through it like 10 times trying to figure out what all of these words meant in conjunction with
in this order.
Like, this is scary, I think. Yeah.
All right.
Also interesting, Mike said.
All right, moving right
I hope
along.
this
All
doesn't
right.
awaken something in me.
Jesse, what's your
Wait.
favorite scene?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
End of sidebar.
Okay. My favorite scene, just as Vito was the beginning, my favorite scene is the end.
Alpha and Omega over here.
They they're trying to figure out how do you beat the Akron. They decide, since the Akron is a bunch of privateers, they're going to pretend to be whalers, which have a bunch of, I guess, money on the ship. Because I guess that's what whalers have.
Oil.
I don't know.
Oil.
It's oil and what is it? Verdigris? Is it verdigris?
Ambergris.
Ambergris, yeah.
Yeah,
which
okay.
is
Whale
something.
snot.
Yes. There you go. Yeah.
And I'm imagining those are really valuable.
Extremely
Extremely
valuable.
expensive.
Yeah.
Like,
It is
is
a
that
very
is that,
limited
is that the
amount.
case like
Still
right
expensive.
now? Okay.
Can you get ambergris now?
No, ambergris illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like you can't whale now.
Yeah.
There is there.
I don't think you can
old
sell it.
ambergris?
I don't think you can sell it.
Because
I think you can find it. It's okay if you find it because
yeah,
it does wash up on
that's
shores.
right. Yeah.
People
it's like a
do
delicacy.
whale. I've seen the Discovery
You eat
Channel
it?
show.
You don't eat it.
I think you do. I think ambergris you eat.
I don't
Probably
know.
right.
Anyway,
I
they're
thought you meant
pretending
them.
to be whalers, and I love how they're somehow able to repaint their entire ship. They cover up their what do you call it? The woman that's in front of the ship.
The figurehead?
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah,
figurehead.
is it called the figurehead?
Yeah. Well, pause. Ambergris is a solid, waxy, flammable substance produced in the digestive system of sperm whales. It has a marine fecal odor, and it really is wanted by perfume makers. So I was wrong. You don't eat it. You make it into perfume.
Oh, disgusting.
It's just
And it's also used for some medicinal, or was used for medicinal purposes.
so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. No, it's a figure. I don't know what else to call it.
Okay, yeah. All right, so they covered that up. And they're also given orders to, not say sir, not do any bells or whistles, and to be sloppy with the way they're releasing the masts and not look like they're part of the Navy. I loved getting like really specific, like, all right, you guys have to we train you to be as efficient as possible. Now be as inefficient as possible and still get the thing done.
Like no more sirs.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and they have such a hard time doing it because that's their life. And then Jack gives a speech down below deck, where he drops the title of the movie, The Far Side of the World.
I pointed at the screen like Leo DiCaprio.
But he says, like, we're doing this for England, and we're on the far side of the world. This is our home. This is England, and everybody cheers.
Chills!
Yeah.
Chills!
And that's sort of true. They are representative of their country here on this tiny little spot that they're all walking and living on, and they're going up against this privateer that's about to come take them over, and and then they launch those cannons, and I loved how the camera like shows just like all these cannons and smoke blasting into another ship. It also didn't look like CGI at the time, but maybe I was just like so into it, I didn't notice.
I didn't think it was. It looked real.
It looked crazy real, and it was kind of shocking and mind blowing to like watch it. It was breathtaking, I guess. And then they board the ship, and then the French play a trick on them. They're all pretending to be dead, and the Alan, he turns around saying like, "Well, I guess it's done," and then he gets shot in the head immediately. And that's when Captain Jack he's dual wielding, and you see him like blast his pistols, and then I think he's got two swords, if I'm maybe I'm misremembering.
It might be a sword and a hatchet. I'm not sure. He
seemed awesome enough to have 2 of anything at any given time. And this lasts for a really long time. And it's crazy. You can't see what's happening. You just see death and destruction everywhere. And then even the little lieutenant that loses his arm, who's told to stay on the ship, he realizes there's an opportunity to go on the ship and that he has to at that moment. And he, with his one arm and his, and his small stature, he grabs a gun and just shoots somebody.
Yeah.
And it's shocking. Like, when do, like, it was like a boy participating in a real man's world and finally realizing maybe that this is how all officers and sailors start out. They have to do this. They have to participate in war and battle and up close and personal and kill somebody.
Lord Blakeney, by the way. Blakeney.
Right, Lord Blakeney.
Yeah, and then you see the results. Some of your favorite characters dead, like the rebellious guy dead. Alan dead. And Lord Blakeney's friend, I can't remember that lieutenant's name either, but
yeah, the other kid.
Yeah,
the other kid
who was named a lieutenant that day.
Yeah,
and
great scene.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's thrilling. It's like the movie forgets for about a half an hour, 45 minutes before that scene that it's like an action movie, right? And then the scene starts like, oh, that's right. Like, that's right. We do action shit in this movie. I forgot.
Yeah. And it all comes at you all at once. And it's so chaotic. Like, the camera is constantly cutting. You can't feel like you're really getting a grasp of what's going on. And it felt like I was in the battle for that. Like, that's what I imagined battle to be. I don't know what's happening. People are dying. I'm probably going to get stabbed. Like,
Yeah.
It was like the shaky cam. It was the shaky cam that was like rampant during the time, but it actually worked well. I feel like here.
Really well.
Because like you got a sense of just claustrophobia in a way that seemed very real to what was going on. And like you were able to pull out and see what was happening at times.
Yeah.
While still like kind of going into it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I love seeing like Stephen Maturin too, like the surgeon. Like he comes in and he starts fighting. And he's fighting like 7 or 8 dudes,
and he's kind of effed up too. Like,
yeah, he's got a whole. He just performed surgery on himself and walked 20 miles.
Yeah.
But
I like the one moment that did take me out is when you see he's like hemmed in on all sides, and the next moment they're just all dead.
No, it's because Jack came over and killed him.
No, I kind of saw that, but it happens so fast. It's so fast. I was like, so he's okay.
In the book, he learns how to fence.
I got that in the movie.
So he's a really good fencer.
I got that. It was
no,
unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
You cannot
stupid, and I hated it. It's the one dumb part of the stupid movie I hated.
It's the best movie ever made.
It was unbelievable when the guy who got shot killed 8 dudes. Right? That's it. That's all I got to say. I'm gonna push back real hard on this one.
He had like 7 guys on top of him at one point, like on top of him, and I'm like, one of them would get a stab in, like a little stab.
Yeah, it's a Hollywood moment.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I don't care. I just point.
Yeah.
The payoff was good. He's still alive. Great. That's great.
Still alive.
I felt great.
Yeah.
The end of the movie, I felt great at.
Yes.
I remember when I first watched it. I thought he would die because it seemed like he got shot, and it seems like this movie's heading for death of somebody really important. And
Hollywood rules would dictate that the best friend who's really cool dies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But he didn't. And that was cool.
Yeah.
It was just everybody else. Like literally everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really glad that his second in command guy pulled through. I like that. The scar-faced guy.
Yeah.
I like that dude.
I wanted to see more of him. Like, I wanted to know, what's your story, dude?
Oh, yeah.
He seems so young, but he's got like the full respect of Russell Crowe, and he seems like he knows how to do everything.
Yeah, that dude has got charisma. Like he's going to be the next Russell Crowe, and you can see that.
If they ever decided to do like a spin-off series and they didn't want to bring Russell Crowe back, which I would totally appreciate.
They can't now.
Understand? Yeah, they could totally do him though. Like he could be the next one. I feel
James
like I would watch
Darcy.
it. James Darcy, yeah.
I mean, he's still Still working.
Yeah. Well, all right. Wait. Let's do sidebar.
It's Infinity War.
If they did do a Aubrey Maturin series, who should play Jack Aubrey?
Ooh. I feel like Ryan from the OC. I don't remember his real name. The guy who's like super anti-crypto now. You know this guy, right? Yeah, and he's in the Batman.
I have muted all crypto thing. Even though you send them to me, I don't open them.
He's great. He's fantastic. I love him.
Who's he in the Batman?
Okay.
He's not in the Batman. He's in the Gotham series. He plays young what's his name?
Is it Ryan Atwood?
You are not helping.
Yeah,
me.
Ryan Atwood. No, not Ryan Atwood.
Who does he play in Gotham?
He's the main guy in Gotham. Oh my gosh, what's
Gordon?
his name? Gordon. He's Gordon. Yeah, Ben McKenzie.
The face is good. This is a good.
Yeah.
This is a good face.
Yeah, he's got. I mean,
yeah, this is a good face.
I feel like he's the right age. He doesn't have the star power that Russell Crowe did, but I feel like that might be necessary to boot like a real series like this. He's gristly, he's good looking, classically
he's handsome,
good-looking.
but he's kind of chiseled out of stone.
Yeah,
he's got like a big broad brow,
Yeah.
got a good nose. Because I was at the first thing that came to mind, and he's wrong, I think. But the first thing that came to mind, if there was going to be another movie, is Chris Pine.
No. I mean, I see why that would come, but no.
I think he could do it,
Yeah.
and I think that would be an attractive option. But I want someone with a wider face.
Yeah. Well, also, I was thinking of Jack Aubrey from the books as slightly more bumbling socially. Because if you have a spin-off series, I think it's going to be a show, and I think you're going to have that.
What about Wyatt Russell then?
Wait, Wyatt Russell.
Kurt Russell's son.
Oh.
Hold on.
That's interesting.
I
I don't know if
yeah, I mean,
he's a little
he
too
could-
gangly, maybe. A little gangly.
Look at that.
I mean, he gets a little older.
Look at that.
He could be a young... Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I could
okay.
see it. I could see it.
With the hair that he's got right now, the longer hair, like he already looks very nautical. Very nautical hair.
Yeah, he looks like a sailor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many nuts?
Okay, I can see that.
What about Oscar Isaac?
No.
No.
I just love Oscar Isaac, guys. I want to see him work that.
After Moon Knight, that guy needs to take a big fucking chill pill.
He's in every single franchise now, right? He's in everything.
I'm actually getting kind of tired of seeing his face.
I know. I hate saying that. I'm
a little tired of
I
Oscar
love the
Isaac.
guy.
I haven't watched
Great
Moon
actor.
Knight, and I'm not going to. So
It's like with Channing Tatum. You remember Channing Tatum was everywhere, and it was like, you know what? That's enough, dude. You need to go away.
All right, I'm gonna end this sidebar. That was great.
Wait, but wait, we didn't get a Maturin. We didn't get a Stephen Maturin.
All right, fine.
Isaac is Stephen Maturin.
Re-enter the sidebar. Oscar Isaac as Stephen Maturin.
Actually,
I could see that more.
Stephen Maturin is even. My impression in the book is he's even nerdier than he comes across in the movie.
right.
But he's also got to be steely.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily Oscar Isaac, but I could see this is a very classic pairing, right? Of like a more steely, reserved one and a more charismatic, kind of sillier one.
Also, he's supposed to be notoriously Irish. So much so, I think he's part of the Irish.
No one knows what ethnicity Oscar Isaac is.
That's true. But I'm also wondering if we just did Gangs in New York. There's a bunch of Irish actors. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Jamie Dornan.
What?
Jamie Dornan.
It could be
Jamie Dornan.
It could be Jamie Dornan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad call.
What
Some
about,
of those other ones, they're just getting too old.
What about Donald Gleason?
That.
Oh,
Is he too shrimpy?
I think he could pull off being refined.
Think about no, he can't. Think about him as Admiral Hux. All right, shrimpy dude. I'm not saying I think he could pull off a nerdy surgeon who has guts, but I don't know if I could see him fighting off 8 dudes. It's a picture of Donald Gleason. It doesn't mean anything to me.
I love it.
I can pull
Mike
up pictures
showed that
all
picture
Here's a
like
picture
he
of
was.
Donald Gleason killing 17 men.
You showed that picture like you were proving your point. Like
Dev Patel.
Well,
Ooh. That would be interesting.
He's not Irish though, right?
That's okay. Ignore it.
that's fine. I guess we're past the Irish part at this point.
I would believe this guy as this. I believe it.
Yeah, he could do this.
Okay. What about Master and Commander in the future? They're on spaceships.
Oh, Master and Commander Planet!
Far planet of the world. Far side of the galaxy. Far side. Yeah, there we go.
I like this way less. I am ending the sidebar. All right. Favorite scenes.
Oh yeah, we gotta keep going.
Yeah, Mike.
Mike,
what is your favorite scene in this movie?
Fast. Okay, so I love this movie. I love every aspect of this movie, but I've got to shout out. So the old guy who is like the shaman or whatever.
He gets brain surgery.
Surgery.
The superstitious.
Yeah, the superstitious guy who kind of causes all the problems. But I didn't really realize that until like this last time of watching it.
If this is a Stephen King novel, he would be like the religious extremist who's like always whispering in people's ears.
Yeah. Cause it all. Or if it was Twin Peaks.
It actually is Mr. Lamb who is the guy.
Oh,
right?
okay. But so
he's a metal singer. He's a metal singer in real life.
Oh, really? The guy. So he has the words "hold fast" tattooed on his fingers, and for the next 7 years, my friends and I just would at times throughout the day, bad days, would just hold fast on our fists and just like show it to each other in class. Just like, hey, hold fast, man. You're like, oh yeah, I gotta write it. And then you're like, wait, I did it the wrong way. And then the teacher would be like, what is wrong with you people?
Be like, Mike, what does fast hold mean? Oh, dang it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wrote it wrong.
Deload Saf.
What does that even mean? And also various other things like that we would try to fit onto our hands, and I don't know. But it was great. Loved it.
But this movie,
it's really cool. It is really cool.
Like, you're just talking about literally every time you see his hands.
Literally every time you see his hands.
and he even says hold fast at one point.
Yeah.
To somebody else.
So the first time you see it, he shows it to like the young Lord. What's his name? Lord Aubrey? No,
Blakeney.
Lord Blakeney, who is terrified because it's his first battle at sea, and he shows it to him and actually gives the kid courage. It's sort of like this off to the side cut in the middle of that first battle, and it's meaningful and impactful. And I thought that it was really cool how they just put that in there and sort of added to the the way that this movie is populated by people who are interacting with each other in very realistic ways. And how what we have here is one of the oddest social structures that has ever occurred, where this child is above this old wizened man in terms of hierarchy, and the child will order this man around. And yet the man is also like helping to teach the young child and keeping him sort of not exactly safe, like not at all safe actually, which is also weird.
They're going into battle
because rather than keeping children safe, they're like being like, no, you gotta like not be afraid and go and kill people. Like that's what you should do, young child. It's really weird. And also like really, I think that there's something really cool about that sort of like working together with those who are younger than you or inexperienced to teach them the ropes. And then the second time we see it is when he gets brain surgery, which is just a wonderful scene. It's great.
I mean, it was cool, but
it's
like
a great scene. Yeah.
I remember when I first saw that scene in theaters being like, if I was there, I would totally be crowding around that too. I want to know what somebody's brains look like.
Those are brains, doctor.
I like how they take the coin. They're like, all right, it's going back in your head.
Well, you said he used to do metal, right? So now he's got metal.
So now he's a real metalhead.
The real metal. Good job.
I got us all there. We were all
we were hovering it, and you got it. That's
it was
great.
A team effort.
I think that what you said about how like a little scene like that builds those characters, and then Jesse mentioned it earlier that the side characters in this movie are so well done, where you feel like you know them, you feel like there's an arc for each character, even the really, the really, really on the side ones that you only see a few times. And that's why, or that's part of the reason why my favorite scene is the dinner scenes. It's weird because it's like what you were saying, that there's all these men, that are much older and much, they've been sailors their whole lives, and they are stuck in the, in the sailors' quarters, right? They have to eat whatever everybody else is eating. Doesn't look pleasant. They, only get glog every once in a while. And then there's these kids and these teenagers and young men who, just because of their social status and their military status, are getting to drink wine with the captain and have these lavish dinners. And, they get to, it was almost like they're the adults in the situation. That's how it felt. It was like they get to stay up late and laugh with the captain. And like, on the one hand, it feels kind of like almost irritating, because you're like, this is not healthy. But at the same time, there's a satisfaction to like, this was just the way this was back then. Like that there was this social order and everybody accepted it and everybody kind of lived by it. And I love the way that the captain, there's a bunch of scenes where like it shows him helping his servants, or his relationship with his servants and with the other sailors. He just seems like he really does care about them, and they really do love him, right? It's not like a tyranny or a dictatorship that he's running. It's like he is a leader in all the best meaning of that word. And I thought that was really great. And the dinner scenes are kind of him like letting his hair down and being hilarious and being kind of the clown of the situation and making the jokes, but also he can say the really, really impactful thing, right? He can like get really serious, and then at the turn of the hat, he'll make the funniest joke that everybody's heard. And I always felt like those scenes kind of made me like want to be that in my role as a father. Is like, I want to be able to, tell my kids really, important things and have them look up to me and respect me. But then also I want to be able to laugh with them and joke and, be a clown, and not have that like lead to disrespect, right? That you can keep respect while also being, letting your hair down and being more, affable and likable, and be yourself. Like that he can be himself around his men, but also they still, when push comes to shove, they're going to respect him and follow him to the death, because he ordered it. Like that's it. I just feel like he's such an awesome, an awesome role model for any person in a leadership position, mm-hmm. which as a parent, we all kind of are. So.
Well, I do have some comments on that, kind of jumping into a question. But before I do, like, Mike Vito, do you have anything to say to that?
No, I think this is a pretty natural springboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add. I mean, like, I agree with you, and so I shared on the podcast before. Like, I grew up, like, my dad passed away when I was a kid, and like seeing this movie was something that was really like that sort of thing. Like seeing the way that he was interacting, the way he interacted with the young kid whose father, like his father had died, and was a very close friend of Jack's. And the way that he brought him up and trained him and taught him, that was really cool to me as a kid. And that was something that I sought and looked for in my, I don't know, like in the people that I guess I looked for in the people that, I looked up to. And it's really cool to come back to it now and see it now, because like the shoe's a little bit on the other foot now. Like I'm about the age of Jack, or like getting close to the age of Jack and of Matern, and like there's a bunch of younger people who are now sort of getting older. And it's just I don't know, it's really interesting to realize like, oh, like my life looks very very different from this. Like I'm not on a ship or anything, but there's a lot of similarities in the way that I don't know, I have learned how to operate in the world, I suppose, which I'm very grateful for. Grateful for the people who are like Jack in my life.
It's a beautiful insight. So I guess talking then kind of about the character of Jack, this is someone that you looked up to and kind of sought after. And in a lot of ways, he's someone that you would want to seek after, right? Like Dan is talking about natural leadership, but also about inspiring respect and love in those around you. I think that's actually like a core tenet of being a parent, or even just like being a manager or a boss.
Yeah.
Like in every respect, being a leader means commanding respect, but also love, right?
Yeah.
In some way, in whatever way that love can be said that's appropriate.
And also like not trying, but like contrasted with like Hollings or Holland or whatever, like who is not a very good leader.
Yeah.
He's trying to be, yeah.
What was your question, Jesse? No, I don't know. It's all one thing.
Well, we're talking about how great Captain Jack is as a leader.
Yeah.
But watching it this time around, like, and I agree with everything you guys were saying. That's how I've always viewed Captain Jack Aubrey. Like, it's really like, has to make the tough decisions, but they're the right ones, right? But this time around, I noticed that his orders are to follow the Akron to Brazil, and he goes past it.
Oh, yeah.
He's choosing to go past Brazil. He rounds the Cape of South America, even.
Goes around the horn, comes up the other side of South America.
They all celebrate.
All the way to like,
they all celebrate when they start going north from South America, right?
Yeah.
Going around it. And and so I'm kind of two minds about this. And one is like, it's just his pride, right? He was beaten in battle. He's not used to being beaten. He wants to go take his revenge out against this ship. And to be clear, like, they've already built up in this movie that this ship, like, their cannons cannot penetrate it, at least from a distance away, because its hull is so thick that the cannonball... 2 foot of solid oak, they say. So their cannonballs bounce off. So they cannot affect the ship. They have 14-pounder guns, I think. The other people have 18-pounder guns. And they have 48 of them. They have more. Yeah. They have more people, more guns. The guns are bigger. They have a hole that they cannot penetrate. It's faster than them, and they're going after it. And he
haven't been ordered to.
And he has not been ordered to. He's going above and beyond what his orders are. So it seems like it's just pure pride.
Well, he does have a good point.
But there's another thing like it that I think of. What would he do if he went back? He would be sent off to another ship that might also be like the Akron. Who knows? Like, he has to go battleships. That's his job.
He also says specifically that a ship of this size in this place could be enough, if left unchecked, to turn the war in France's favor. He does say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does have justification. It is slight, and there is a lot of hubris in this decision, but it's not as if it's made only out of pride.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's, I kind of love the fact that we don't have an answer to that. Like, is it pure pride? Is it that, the movie is kind of just like, here's everything on the table. Is there a mixture of pride in it? Probably. But also, like, like I as a father have had to make decisions that make me look like an asshole to my kids, or even, sometimes to my wife. And like, that's part of being an adult, is like, sometimes you have to make the decision if it's the right one, even if it makes you look prideful or like it's, even if it will look like you're being a jerk to everybody else, if you know it's the right thing, like it almost becomes an obstacle that you're like, well, what if people think I'm just doing it out of pride? It's like, well, it doesn't matter if it's the right thing, it's the right thing. And like, if you know it's the best choice, if it's the lesser of two weevils, like you have to do it. And so it's kind of like a reverse thing of like, yeah, usually pride, if doing something out of pride is going to be the wrong decision, but sometimes doing something that's the right decision can also have some pride in it, right? And that doesn't make it a wrong decision. So it's not like these are exclusive. They just, typically the fact that some pride is in it means you should be like, a little bit more questioning of your decision. Yeah. And it seems like he's questioning his decision. Like he does get into these debates with Maturin. He gets into these debates and it like kind of breaks their friendship, or almost starts to break their friendship. And so it clearly is something that he is wrestling with. And yeah, like obviously it's historical fiction. So, if the movie had ended with them getting blasted away and everybody sinking at the bottom of the ocean, I'd be like, yeah, they should have turned back, but they don't. They defeat the ship and they outwit it. And it's incredible. And it's like, the outcome obviously doesn't justify the means, but with a movie like this, I'm like, yeah, he was doing the right thing. He was following, the spirit of the order, right? Obviously the letter of the order hadn't told them to keep going past Brazil, but he also understood the bigger implications of this. And he knew that, returning and saying, oh, by the way, we're going to lose every battle in the seas from now for the next 2 years because of this ship, is like, yeah, that could totally ruin everything that the whole, that all of England was fighting for. So it's like, he understood there was more on the line and that he had the intel and that only he could kind of make this decision. And it's a hard decision. And it's a very gray, ambiguous, difficult to make decision that, has a lot of impact. I don't know. It's something I love about the movie. 'Cause like, I don't know that there's an answer. I don't know that there's like a final, like, yes, he shouldn't have, or yes, he should have. It's almost like he just had to go with what he believed was best. And I don't know. That's my take on it. What do you guys think?
I really like the way that you said that, like, well, I don't know exactly what you said, but that like
just everything I said.
Everything that you said. No, but like the pride, like just because there's pride in it doesn't mean that it's the wrong decision. And like there's I think that's like, yeah, I think he did make it out of pride, right? Like this is he wants to fight this guy. He wants to take him on and take him out. It also happens to maybe be the right thing to do. There are good arguments for it being the right thing to do. Maybe. I mean, like you could say like, oh no, he's just using those words to justify his vanity and like taking, taking
it could be right. It could be hubristic. Yeah. And he could be vain. Those could all be true things.
But they all could be true together. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess I maybe I'm trying to think through what the other option would be. He goes back to England, and then they have to send a fleet out for this one ship. Is that a thing? Do you hunt another ship?
Yeah.
In South America with a fleet of other ships? And does that really help the situation? Like, I actually don't understand nautical warfare.
I mean, yeah, dude, like the Bismarck, because Bismarck in World War II, that was like one ship that thought that was going to turn the tides of war, and like the entire like British fleet, I think it was, went to go and sink the Bismarck, and it was this massive thing. The Bismarck sunk like multiple ships by itself before it's like finally went down. It was this massive like super destroyer.
And I guess the argument for the Atron is that they're going to attack the whalers. And so if we stop the supply of very valuable whale blubber and oil and ambergris to wherever it was going, you interrupt a supply chain like that. What are they burning the oil for? They're probably doing lanterns, right? Well, what if you run out of oils for your lanterns? That could be really, really bad in a war that's relying primarily on lanterns at night.
Yeah.
Like, it actually could be really bad.
And like they're getting their perfume, they can't, if you stop their perfume, they're the French. So no, I'm just kidding.
They're going to smell so bad.
So bad.
Ugh, we smell so bad. So stinky.
Well, I didn't even think that deep into it. I was like, well, clearly it would be bad for them to be there, but you were like, no, trade routes.
No, yeah.
That's usually what's going on right now. What I do.
It's the money, right? The money that they're getting from this probably is the main asset. Like it would be like gold. It'd be like gold being on these ships. Like they just want the gold to sell it and to fund their war.
Yeah, the seas are
smelling gold.
Anytime you have seas open, it's always for opening up or closing trade routes.
Yeah.
So
money.
Yeah, I think.
All right.
Well, then on the flip side of that, then. So he kind of went above and beyond the Call of Duty to go and fight the Acheron. And we're saying like, well, there's a lot of conflicting or complex like reasons for it. How about
sent a fleet out? Could have done that.
But how about like when he decided to stop chasing the Acheron when he had it in his sights, and he went back to the Galapagos for his friend? How was that the right decision?
Because he knew where it was going. And before he didn't know where it was going, but now that he's there, now he knew where it was going, so he could tactically leave it alone for a minute until his crew is at full strength.
No, I think
and so he got his doctor back on board.
Okay.
That's super big. If you're going to go into a battle, you need your doctor.
So
he knew where he was going to be, and he needed medical assistance, so bada bing. Makes sense to do it.
Wait, did he know that he said that he didn't know that was whether that was the Phantom ship? And he's like, oh, we might be here for like a couple weeks or whatever.
I mean, he
was pretty sure it was the Phantom ship. He said he was like,
but also he didn't end up really knowing where it was going to go, did he? Because
he said it was going to the whalers, right?
But then it ended up it was at the islands.
They had gone to the Galapagos.
Why are you guys having a hard time saying this?
Galapagos Islands, and then it continued on from there. And it had continued on from there.
Yeah.
And like he had followed it and caught up with it, and he had like found the place where it had been, and then he was like, it was like, oh yeah, it's a day's journey away. Like you can get there. Like you're gonna be able to catch it. And then like the not surgeon guy is like, I can't do it. I can't do it if I'm not on land. And so he goes back, and like the decision that he's making, like I think that the movie's saying like, no, the decision that Jack has made is that he is no longer going to pursue this ship, and instead he's choosing to save his friend,
the doctor.
The doctor.
There's two reasons.
But is he saving him because he's a doctor or because he's a friend?
Yes. Yes.
I think it's that he wants to have kind of his cake and eat it too. Like he wants his friend and to chase this ship. I don't know that it's like he abandoned the ship to help his friend.
I didn't get the sense it was abandoning. He was just taking a quick breather.
Yeah. He wanted both. He wanted his friend back, or he wanted his friend, period, because he was dying. And he wanted to fulfill his promise. I think that was important to him to like, save his life, but also to not let his friend die and live with that on his conscience, like that he broke his promise to his friend.
But
he made someone else do that. He made someone else leave his friend behind and die.
That's because it's going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Way different.
The whole boat was about to tip over.
I mean,
they were literally like, cut it loose, we're going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody below deck started cheering when that happened.
Yes, they're like, thank God we're not all going to die.
They didn't know what was happening, but
they were happy that it wasn't continuing to happen.
Yes, they were happy that they weren't continuing to die. Yeah.
And he could not turn around or else they would all die.
I mean, I think that this is, I don't know. I thought it was presenting this as a dichotomous situation where it's like sort of the mirror image of what happened with the other two friends. And also like he was making a choice of one thing over another, friendship over duty.
I can see traces of it, but it doesn't seem to be a direct correlation.
For me, I definitely got that too, because like They found the ship. They're on its tail, and it's already been established. This thing is really fast. I think it's faster than them.
Way faster.
And they have to turn around, go the opposite way, go back a few days to the islands. They stay there long enough to do the surgery, long enough for Maturin to recover, long enough that he can go and gather bugs and beetles and go on, a 20-mile hike throughout the whole island. That's they're there for a long time.
Yeah.
And the other ship that had the wind, it was going. So I don't think there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to go see that thing again.
Yeah. But I agree. I agree with you, Jesse. And maybe it's something that we agree to disagree on. But I do think that there's sort of an interesting resolution that comes out of here, which is that when you find the work-life balance, you end up finding the ship you were chasing all along. Because they go to the Galapagos, and that's where the enemy actually is.
I think I don't know if we can resolve this because literally the ending of this movie is based on luck. So I don't know if there's a way that we can resolve this peacefully because the ship just shows up.
Yeah,
shows up.
He's Lucky Jack.
It is like a Deus Ex Machina thing.
Yeah,
Deus Ex ship.
Yes,
Mike,
that is the way I've always seen it. Yeah,
Mike, I thought you were going to say the real Phantom ship was the friends we made along the way.
It's possible,
but you didn't say it. So
I didn't say it.
Mike, I'm guessing you're going to say it's a dad movie.
This is
but
a
I
dad
don't know.
movie, 100%.
Oh, okay.
This is a dad movie, 100%. I love it. It's great.
Yeah,
really. Yeah.
It's about leadership. It's about friendship. It's about giving and taking orders on a ship. So many ships in this movie.
Sorts of ships. I ship
all the ships. Yeah.
Jesse, is this a dad movie?
Absolutely. It's got all the dad things. Sailing is a dad thing. Leading is a dad thing. There are dads on the ship too, and they fight cannons. That's a dad thing.
Several different kids,
several different kids. I can't wait for my kids to associate this with me. Yeah. Everything about this movie screams dad. The name is Master and Commander. That's dad for sure. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you guys said. I love how Russell Crowe's character is like a gentleman, and he can have a great time with his bros and his laughing and drinking wine and and then also be a really serious leader that's respected. I love all the different facets of his character, and I think he's definitely a role model for me, and I hope that my kids eventually connect him with me in some way, even if it's just that I recommended the movie or that I gushed over it for hours before we watched it with my kids. What about you, Vito?
I'm not going to stand in the way. It's not this dad's movie, but it is a dad movie, I think, by classical definition.
Yeah.
But I don't care too much if my kids associate this with me. So I'm not going to stand away because it's 99% there. It's just this is the personal touch isn't there. It's like I shared am I going to show this to my kids? I might, but I don't feel an urgency to do it. Maybe it's just that I just connected too late with it. I have 18 years of resentment towards it.
Have you ever felt a desire to make model boats?
No. Huh. No, they called me the Smasher when I was a kid. I didn't build anything. I broke everything. I'm a breaker, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, I no interest in the fiddly little pieces. I can't do it. If you guys can't tell, I don't have a lot of patience. Would not do very well on the high seas. Would not. But it's a dad movie for every reason you guys are saying, and also, it's just when we're 60, this is going to be on Turner Classic Movies. You guys realize that, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He's so great. I can't wait to be my dotage, be oh, I remember when this came out. It's great. Russell Crowe in his heyday.
We went to a theater. The kids are like, "What's that?"
I know, you'll just watch it on your eyeballs now. You've got it implanted. My voice is going to change very dramatically as well.
Are you going to start smoking in your 50s? What is that?
Chances are.
Yeah, so I don't want to stand in the way. It is a dad movie. I knew when it got put, even when before in August of 2020, we were talking about doing this podcast, I knew it would be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm perfectly happy that it's there.
All right.
Happy. Now Gladiator, though, what a piece of shit. Anyway,
what? No, you cannot do that. You can't do that. You have to take that back.
Yeah,
you will take that back. You will take that back.
Oh, you gotta take that back right now.
Wait, how serious are you being?
Dad is shocked.
I'm trying to end the podcast, guys.
From all of us at Not Your Father's Movies, I'm Mike.
Dan.
Am I Dan? I don't know.
Yeah, you're Dan.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Jesse. Good night from Not Your Father's Movies. Thank you for listening to this episode of Not Your Father's Movies. Please let us know what you think about movies and our discussions on our Twitter at NYF Movies, on our Not Your Father's Movies Facebook group. Follow us on Instagram or email us at notyourfathersmovies@gmail.com. Also, please consider supporting us on Patreon. This podcast has cost us a lot of time, effort, and money. Please consider contributing and we will start sending you monthly newsletters, our bonus WhatsApp episodes, and even an NYFM mug. We hope to hear from you soon. Lastly, thank you to Max Agros for our awesome theme playing right now, and to Andy LaFave from Don't Dance for the remix that you hear at the beginning of every episode. Thanks again for listening to Not Your Father's Movies.